House to Home, presented by Remax Diamond Realty.
Okie dokie, everybody. I get to play traffic cop, and I guess it's fitting that the NHL playoffs are happening right now because I'm also goalie, and I love soccer. I love hockey because my two favorite realtors in the world, Liz and Gina from Remax Diamond Realty, are sitting in their very, very nicely decorated offices. By the way, I must say that, and we are talking about something that is obviously a concerned, ladies, to the both of you for a number of years now. And there seems to have been, I mean, can we call it, Gina, progress on this whole, nitrate and, inability to build on certain parts of the island? Is it progressive? Is it a roadblock? Is it like, give us some context?
Bill 175-37 is definitely progress. So that's Bill 175-37. It is
Here
a
we are.
progress because it's finally been written. The legislature had a hearing on it already. We were there to testify. So it's out there. We just need Senator Sabina Perez's committee to push this bill out to the floor. And it was really sad. I logged on. They had the committee hearing last week, I believe, and it was not on the agenda, and that was really sad. And today I want to address her statement that she put out specifically regarding this bill 175-37. Myself and the members of the Guam Association of Realtors, we've been pushing to get this bill to move forward only because number one, it updates our septic tank system on Guam. It adds in type 4 facilities. And for anyone who wants to look this up, you can go online and you could look up type 4 septic tank facilities. And you're going to see that these systems reduce nitrate by 50%, in some cases more, but to be cost effective, Guam EPA agreed that if the law were written to put in type 4 facilities, they would accept the systems that would reduce the nitrate by 50%. And I kind of want to touch on Senator Perez's statement where she has on here, and we shared that as with it.
Let me bring that up again. Here we go.
Yes, please.
Yep. There we go.
That these systems will serve to reduce the nitrates, will reduce some nitrate contamination. I think we need to be clear and put in her statement, it reduces nitrates by 50%. And that's huge compared to what we have now, in my opinion. And the other thing we need to be mindful of is nitrates come from naturally are produced in our environment. The decay of vegetation, the decay of leaves contribute to nitrate. Animals, chicken farms contribute, because the decay of that waste product contributes to nitrate.
Manure, as I understand it, also contributes to nitrate, I believe, right?
Yes, absolutely. Our golf courses, fertilizer contributes to nitrate. So, we have to also accept that this is a naturally occurring, it's a natural byproduct in our environment. So we cannot expect our septic tanks to reduce it 100%. It's not happening, not with this bill.
But the concern has always been, to be fair, Gina, like if we have those kind of decomposing materials, organic or vegetative or whatever, and they get into the water table, that's a recipe for disaster. Right? I'm just saying, like, that's the theory, right?
That's the theory.
Right.
And if we read the report that WERI has come out with, they don't definitively point to septic tank systems. They say decaying vegetation, these farms, golf courses, and septic tanks, old sewer lines that are leaking, all of these things are contributing to the increase in nitrates in our water wells. but there are many other remedies. We cannot just look to the septic tanks to fix the problem. We also have to look to GWA installing filtration systems. She also put on her statement that PFAS, the PAFS contamination that is getting into the wells is an issue.
We've been
too.
reporting on the PFAS, concern like a little bit for the past few weeks too. Yeah.
Absolutely. But these septic tanks don't eliminate this. At the hearing with GWA present, GWA said the only way to get rid of this is to install treatment systems into the water well as part of the water wells. And they themselves said, but it's very restrictive because we don't have the funding to do that. So this is misleading to think that that the proper septic tank will get rid of this issue. It will not. GWA reported that the only way to get rid of this issue is to install treatment systems into the wells. So I think we need to not confuse the citizens of Guam by saying, well, this bill is going to address that. No, this bill cannot address that. The only way to address this is it's a separate issue, a separate conversation. GWA needs to address that by coming up with appropriating funding to install these treatment systems.
And Liz, I know you were saying the source of your concern and ultimately frustration with how this is going is, we get back to progress, as you said, that like there was a little bit of obviously like thought and then development of public policy towards this end and everything like that. But you were saying you felt as if like it's kind of like stymied now, right?
Yes, this has been a 2-3 year process. When Senator Biscoli first introduced this bill, just think about it. That's about 4 years ago. And we were documenting the dates and the times each time we went to public hearing, each time we got testimony. And of course, we've researched, and at one hearing, they even had experts, because just bear in mind, the nitrate system is utilized stateside, it's utilized in Hawaii, it's used all over, and they've proven that it does reduce the nitrates in our system. But again, I personally feel that in the beginning, prior to the last election, Senator Sabina Paris was working towards it. There was appearance that they were working to move the bill forward. And then after election, when she made it, then that was it. Nothing was done thereafter. And just think about it. We've got shortage of homes. People want to build. Permits are being denied. So for the people of Guam, what is the solution? This system is a solution to help our environment as well. And it's to help people build their homes. And, after the election, that was the last, and so we had to go to another senator, Senator Chris Duenas, to help us move this bill forward. We've been in touch with the different offices to get their support. Even the AG provided their input. So there was input on this bill. Just bear in mind, this bill, we've been working on this for many years. And now we're at a standstill because now there's statements that we need to do more research. How much more research do you want to do? How much more can the people suffer without being able to build their homes? So we're, personally, even John, my husband, he's a civil engineer. He knows the technical aspects. He's been testifying on what, in his opinion, because he handles this sort of systems, he gave his expert testimony that this is a solution. So why continue to sandbag the process? We need grassroots movement. We need to go down to the legislature. We need people who have been denied building permits, people who could not do anything with their property. I got to say this. She told one of the constituents, oh, just plant on it. Just do farming. His objective was to build for his daughter, who's an invalid. He wanted to take care of her, but to get the response from a senator to say, oh, just farm them, use it as green space. Is that a solution? When we've got a solution in one hand that we could effectuate and make things happen for the people. Gina and I get frustrated when people say, oh, you realtors, it's all about making money. No, This is not about making money. This is about the people and the people's ability to build their homes, especially in light of shortage of homes right now. Interest rates are up, everything is up. This is an ability to help people build their homes. You know,
Okay, now let's at least speculate and how, quantifiably, how much could the market be impacted by, this legislation or the lack of legislation? Could that affect like the market going forward in the next like 3 to 5 years?
Okay, Jay, so here's the deal about this bill. This bill really is only about introducing a new system for septic tanks. How this affects real estate, being in, Liz and I have been doing real estate for over 30 years. So right now, the only people affected are people who received their land through probate. If you received your property through probate and you have less than half an acre, you are the only body of people that have been made to protect the water table, because you're the only one who can't get a building permit. Everybody else can use their property. So if my parents are alive and they subdivided their property and they gave me a 1/4 acre lot, I can go down there and get a building permit. So the way EPA is regulating this is the only people that have been forced to preserve our waterland table is decedent estate recipients. They're the only ones. Everybody else, so golf courses can continue to fertilize, farmers, and you know what? They should be able to, and farmers should be able to use their properties, but these are all contributors to nitrate, right?
Yeah, tell any self-respecting farmer that they're not able to like fertilize their stuff, and they're going to say you're crazy. How am I supposed to run a farm?
But that's my point.
Yeah.
These are contributors to nitrate. But the only entity that is being forced to conserve or to not use their property because of the concern over nitrate are decedent landowners, and that's not fair. Our laws are supposed to be fair. That isn't fair. The other point is Weary has been, so this system already exists in Guam. It's been here for 10 years. Weary has been studying it for 10 years. The only reason we can't use it is because the legislature has not put it into law. That's the only reason.
Okay,
so these excuses
if I may, I'm looking here right now, and it says and I'm quoting from the document here. In this case, writes Senator Sabina Perez in her statement to this bill 175. In this case, we needed to gain WERI's, the Water Energy and Research Institute up at UOG, the U.S. EPA, and the Guam EPA, their local counterpart, analyses before moving forward with the bill. Do you guys have any?
So this is not truthful, because at the hearing we testified, the gentleman David Damian, who brought this system in 10 years ago, testified that Weary has been testing the system. It's been in place and in use, that he's been trying to get EPA to approve this for 10 years and he's tired of it. US federal EPA has this system already approved in the US. It's being used in the United States. All of these things we testified about during the hearing.
Okay,
So
I don't
to
want to bring
here-
up like old stuff, but is this kind of like the modern day contemporary version of, remember that incinerator issue we had like 15, 20 years ago? Kind
the
of like,
incinerator system it's a different issue.
yeah, obviously.
This issue has to do with our groundwater, and I understand the idea of trying to protect our water source for the people. But at the same time, we have been going through public hearings. It makes it sound like these entities did not put in testimony. They put in testimony. In fact, more than the time given to them was even more than the time given to the public constituents, which was really, there was an imbalance. But in any event, public hearings were heard, and different entities did come forward, put in their testimony. We as the public put in our testimony. And yet, how much more testimony do you need?
Because Jason, this system reduces nitrates by 50%.
Mhm.
How could that not serve the community?
And
Can I
bear in mind
ask
the 50, but Jason, the 50%, that's being conservative.
Mhm.
I know the companies in the States are testifying that it even goes beyond the 50% in terms of reducing nitrates, but we just want to be on the conservative side and
Sure.
utilize the 50%.
Okay,
But can you
may I ask,
75 to
ladies,
100%?
since this statement came out, have you been able to get an audience with either Senator Sabina Perez or Chris Duenas? Because I mean, as you said, I mean, and again, I mean, I'm a software engineer, right? How many man hours do you think that the two of you and your colleagues have spent down at the, testifying and giving feedback and like stuff like that? If you were to chalk it up.
We spent a lot of time. We spent time with Senator Duenas. And the only reason we went to Senator Duenas because it was bottleneck at Senator Sabina Perez. She would not let it out of her committee, nor was she doing anything about it other than touting, I'm trying to get more testimony. How much more testimony do you need? So we went to Senator Chris Duenas to try to get him to move on the bill. And the bill actually had amendments from the AG's office. We talked to Simon Sanchez. We actually worked collaboratively to try to present something that will move forward and get the support to get this bill passed. But now it needs to get out of the committee. And in order to get that out, Senator Sabina Perez has to move it out. They didn't even hear it at the last meeting last week on Wednesday, I believe.
Yeah, even Gina, and even on this show, we've done maybe a baker's dozen number of episodes just on this issue alone, dating back to, as you said, maybe 2021.
And Jason, that's a really good point. And here's my question to Senator Perez and everybody else who is not pushing this bill forward. If you have a better solution, where is it?
Where is it? And if the
where
solution
is it? Yeah.
And if the solution is the sewer system, repairing the sewer system, getting sewer systems into the rural areas so that the people could build. That's a solution, but it always has to do with financials and monetary issues. And then that falls back on the government. And here we are in the private sector trying to come up with a solution. If they're not able to do it on one end, well, hey, here's an alternative. It's not going to cost them anything. It's going to cost the people.
Okay,
but at least it gives them the opportunity to build.
Okay, I want to pedal back to how we started this episode talking about progress or possibly the lack thereof, right? Gina, you kind of like made a call to action to people that feel as you do about this to raise their voice once again, and do that. So how do we actually make sure that we kind of gain some steam on this issue?
Jason, I have to tell you, I'm an advocate. My feeling is.
Oh, really? I never would have known.
Well, once someone's in office, my feeling is they're there. Majority of the people have elected them. And I believe my job personally is to work with who's been elected. But I have to tell you, when I read this, I was deeply disappointed because it doesn't feel honest. Some of the statements in here were really disappointing because number one, Senator Perez is oversight for EPA. If this is how you feel, what have you done about it? You've been in office for an awfully long time. Mm-hmm. Give us solutions. Right. I don't want to hear any more about what the issues are. We know this. Everybody knows this already. GWA's known it, EPA's known it, and perhaps Senator Perez has known these issues for a long time. We have to start believing that as citizens who want to participate and these people who get elected, we are partners in finding solutions. I don't want to read any more about what the problems are because we are well aware of the problems. Give us solutions and let us help you move it forward. But this is just more a dump on okay, this is the issue, this is the issue, this is the issue. We know. What is your solution? If Bill 175-37 is not your solution, what is your solution? And if you haven't figured out some of these questions you have on this letter, if you haven't figured it out by now, you should not be in office anymore because you've had plenty of time. So my call to action is citizens, if you have been affected by not being able to build on your property, call us. I'm tired of it. It's time for us to go down to the legislature and we need to promote the idea that these senators need to move this bill forward or give us a solution that we can work with now, this year, not next election, not 2 years down the road because elections coming up in November. This year, before you get reelected, we want to know what your solutions are. We want it on the table. If it's not this bill, We want it on the table. We want the hearing. We want it to pass before you go up on November for election again. Because we're tired of this. Absolutely done.
And I think that
You gotta go out and vote for people. I know there's some new candidates. We're really looking out for candidates that will be proactive with solutions. There's been senators that have been there 2 to 4 years. Sabina Perez has been there 4 years, and yet no action on this bill. So that's a 0 vote right there.
Okay, well, unfortunately, I guess the only way and the most effective way to end this episode is we say to be continued, which we've said again like a few times, several times.
Oh yeah, we're still going to be knocking on doors, and we're asking grassroots movement, call us. We're going to set up something because this cannot continue. And the senators, you're on notice. Those of you who don't support it, as Gina put it, what is the solution? If you don't have the solution, then move this bill forward, period.
You've had plenty of time.
Fine.
Thanks for watching, everybody.
House to Home, presented by RE/MAX Diamond Realty.